different perspective. So I definitely thought that one was cool. And while they were listening to that, I do have this handout that on the left-hand side has the French words, and on the right-hand side has the English translation. So, I mean, they could sing the French. They don't know how to pronounce a lot of things, but they could also see what it translates to over on the right-hand side. So this, I would, tell them just follow along and see what you can make comparison of the French and the English. Maybe I'd pick out some vocabulary words and have them, I'd ask them, what is ton papa? What does that translate to? And it'd be something as easy as looking over here and saying your dad. That's what it translates to. So I maybe ask some questions like that. Asked if they liked it, what kind of music they listened to, what they thought about the dancing, just to kind of get a discussion going, just so they're not just listening to the song. Yeah, so that's what I had for music plans. The second thing I had planned is literature. So a very famous, and the specific literature, poetry. There's all different kinds of literature. There's, as we know, there's novels. There's just writing books. There's comics. There's poetry. So there's different kinds. So I specifically focused on poetry. And I do have, we were going to focus on Victor Hugo, who is a very famous French poet. And this is a short video about him. So we'll play this one as well. It's only a minute long.
Victor Marie Hugo was a French poet, novelist, and dramatist of the Romantic movement. He is considered one of the greatest and best-known French writers. In France, Hugo's literary fame comes first from his poetry and then from his novels and his dramatic achievements. Among many volumes of poetry, Les Contemplations and La Légende des siècles stand particularly high in critical esteem. Outside France, his best-known works are the novels Les Misérables, 1862, and Notre Dame de Paris, 1831. He also produced more than 4,000 drawings, which have since been admired for their beauty, and earned widespread respect as a campaigner for social causes such as the abolition of capital punishment. Though a committed royalist when he was young, Hugo's views changed as the decades passed, and he became a passionate supporter of republicanism. His work touches upon most of the political and social issues and the artistic trends of his time. He is buried in the Pantheon.
So I like that video because it does provide a lot of information, and it's basic information. It didn't need to go into extreme detail or anything like that. Obviously, I don't like that it's just kind of one of those computer animated things reading it, and it pronounces some of the French words wrong. Like, obviously you heard Les Miserables was pronounced wrong. So for that one, I do have this handout. So again, just to make sure that they are paying attention during a video, I have some short fill-in-the-blank questions here. So the blue is what I would expect them to write in. And all of these are direct sentences from the video. They would just have to fill in these words. So sorry I'm hopping around here. The second one that we would do is go on about a poem from Victor Hugo. So one that I chose is Demain des Aubes. And I have just kind of a little basic information about it. So our poem from Victor Hugo was one of the best-known French writers. Demain des Aubes, which means tomorrow at dawn, is a short and poignant poem about a visit to his daughter's grave. So This poem was first released in 1856 in Hugo's collection called Les Contemplations. So down here I have, again, the same thing as like the song. The French is on the left-hand side, and then the English is on the right-hand side. So we would kind of read through this, or in this right here, this link, it's somebody reading the poem. So we would go through and read the poem, and then I just have two very short discussion questions here. How do you think the author was feeling when he wrote this, and how do you know? So, flipping to the page, the handout that they have, there's a couple things. So at the beginning, it says about a visit to his daughter's grave. So hopefully from that they would know that he was sad, he missed her. So that's one way to know that he was feeling sad when he wrote this. Another one is down here, right here. Saddened, and the day will be like night for me. So that's another way to kind of just show he's in a dark place. He's sad about his daughter's death, things like that. And then I would ask them, find 5 vocab words that you do not know from this poem. So, kind of like the song, I'd have them look over here in the left-hand side at the French and just ask me, you know, what a word was. So, because they don't, some of them don't translate the same over to the English, but I would just, you know, go around and have somebody pick a word that they didn't know and see if somebody could find it on the right-hand side, but if they couldn't, obviously I would translate it for them. Okay, next art form is la sculpture. So, the reason why this video is late is because of this video. I have looked everywhere for a video on le pensée that does not show nudity. Because a lot of sculptures, the artist that I chose was Auguste Rodin, and he did a lot of sculptures in the Romanticism period, which there was a lot of nudity, sexualism during this time period. So, for showing you guys our French class this video, I did just finally choose a YouTube video that, you know, worked to get the facts across. Obviously, if I could not find a video that didn't show nudity, I would not show it to my students. I would simply listen to the video myself and just present the information to them. But for the sake of just showing you guys, I will show you a little bit of it because I know I'm running short on my time here. But I thought this one was a very informational video. Sorry again for the ad.
His figures capture the most universal of human emotions: passion, contemplation, and despair. Auguste Rodin is known as the father of modern sculpture, an artist who managed to convey all the drama of life in stone and in bronze. This talent and these monumental pieces have now been on display for a century at the Rodin Museum here in Paris. This 18th century building was originally a private townhouse. The Hotel Biron changed hands a number of times in the 19th century until 1908, when Rodin rented the ground floor rooms as studio space and the artist even lived here for a time. In 1919, this extraordinary collection went on show, works in marble, bronze and ceramic, as well as the sketches and photographs that accompanied his creative process.
Okay, so I am gonna skip to Find the Thinker. This one goes over his other sculpture called of the Kiss, which is another famous one. But as you can see, there's nudity throughout this entire video, so it was kind of hard to find something that worked. But here is the Thinker. I think it's right here.
Who feature in this version of the underworld include lovers, noblemen, and one man lost deep in his thoughts. The Thinker was chosen by the artist himself to adorn his tomb at his home just outside of Paris. Our reporters went to pay their respects.
Watching over the grave of his creator, Auguste Rodin's statue, the Thinker, sits above his tomb in the garden of this villa in a suburb of Paris, where he spent the last 24 years of his life.
Rodin is buried in this remarkable area of his garden, in the Issy Chateau, which he built here, and in front of this viewpoint which looks over the Seine Valley. It's really the area that he liked the most in his home here at Meudon.
So this video does show a lot of very cool facts about, his artwork in the museum. But again, it has a lot of nudity in it, so I just thought I'd show you guys that. I really hope that me showing these videos to you guys is working. If not, these links are in here, so definitely check them out. I'll send this by email again, and you guys can look at them. So I would either find one that didn't have nudity in it or just present the facts. And then this would be our activity here. So I would bring along Play-Doh and I would tell everybody, work as a table with the Play-Doh to recreate the Thinker. So it's a very, very complicated thing to do, but I think it would be fun. Just a way for them to understand the difficulty and the beauty of this sculpture, and it's just would get them a way to work together. The last thing I would cover is cooking. As I said, cooking is obviously a huge art. And we take it kind of for granted sometimes. So just because I'm running short on time, the first video is a history of cooking, how French cooking evolved into different forms, what things were introduced, who introduced them. So that one's a very good one. It's kind of a long one. I think that one was like 11 minutes long. And then the second one is actually a history on this picture right here. So I'd ask if anybody knew what those were. They're macaroons. They're very, very famous in France and famous here in the United States. So that second video linked there is a video about the history of macaroons in France. So, and then that would be all that I have for them. So that is about it. So, à demain.